Origin Chess, Home Reacts, and this is Godfather of the Green Berets, Billy Waugh, Part 3, I guess. Yeah, I can't do this in one take because, well, I have a day job and this is just fun for me. Nowadays, like, I'm really busy, but yeah, anyway, like, people don't watch 2 hour long reaction anyway. So this is the third part. So far, we've seen his like official military career, and now he's gonna retire. Still 25, 26 minutes left, so he's gonna not really retire here. I don't know. He's gonna become mercenary, right? Like those Jason Statham movies type of shit. Is he gonna become mercenary or something, or like gonna become trainer or something? Who the fuck knows? But it's gonna be interesting. Let's watch it.
Spent more time in combat operation as an adult than he has in the United States of America. So he just does what a lot of veterans do, and he gets a job being a mailman. He works that job every day for 5 years, and he absolutely hates every fucking second of it. In his own words, Billy Waugh said, and I quote, "Let's face it, for a person like me, post office work was worse than death. I do not ever recall feeling fear, not up till that moment in my life. Not in combat before, not anywhere since. But there in that post office, I feared my life was over, that I would wind up some old man drinking at the end of a bar."
Stop trying to scare us. Come on.
And then after 5 long years, one day at home, his phone rings.
That does make me think, right? That all those dangerous people doing dangerous shit, you always assume that that's the most fucked up life you can have. Like you can die at any moment. But that's not how psychology works, right? So people who are like really basic job, just like, like grinding away, like I don't know, a cleaner or something, right? Some kind of like I don't know, some of the most basic jobs somebody can have, like the bottom of the bottom basic job, like cleaning something, cleaning a hotel, cleaning a bathroom or something at McDonald's or whatever. And they do that for years and years and decades. That must be like really like depressing and killing. And I'm also a Warhammer 40k fan, so I've read all that. Like like there are people with no hope, just grinding away in their life, like with nothing to look forward to. It's like really grim, dark type of shit. Like, okay, that's maybe exaggeration, but yeah, sometimes feels like that with having no future, no ambition, just like 8 to 10 hour job. That's your life. Just thinking about them gives me immense depression. And I get what Billy Boy is saying here. I've never got shot in the head, so I can't really talk. Or rather have some kind of excitement in life than just like go through the grind like that, right? I don't know. But that's the fucked up thing. Lots of people don't have any option. All they have is that. Like when I think about this, it's like really fucked up, man.
On just some random day of the week, and on the other end of the line is a voice that he recognizes from his military career, but he's not exactly sure where. And that voice asks him, "Are you ready to get back in action?" And 48-year-old Billy Waugh immediately says yes. The voice on the other end of the line then tells Billy, "Okay, I'll have a down payment wired into your bank account. I need you to report in 48 hours to this specific hotel at 3 p.m., that exact time. Pack enough clothes for a year. You're going overseas for at least 6 months, but potentially much longer." Next morning, Billy goes to the post office, immediately quits his job, heads over to the bank, checks his bank account. He has twice his annual salary deposited into his account. At the same time, there's 3 other guys there checking in at the exact same time. He gets to talking to them. They're there for the same exact thing. There's a communications guy, there's a handheld weapons instructor, there's a medic, and then there's Billy, an expert in literally everything else. At this point, Billy's thinking this is some CIA operation. Awesome, I'm in. They wait for the 5th guy to show up. The 5th guy shows up, and he is the lawyer of the client that they are now working for. The lawyer then informs them they are all going to be going to Libya, where they are going to be training men and consulting for Muammar Gaddafi. At this point, alarm bells are going off in Billy's head. This is definitely not a CIA operation. The CIA is against Gaddafi at this point. He's sponsoring terrorism all over the world. America is not trying to help this guy out. Who the fuck are these people? Why do they want Billy to go help this guy? This is not a state-funded operation. So Billy starts asking questions. He is assured by the lawyer that everything is above board. They're not doing anything illegal. Billy asks who the client is, and the client is Edwin P. Wilson, a former CIA operative. This guy was later put on trial for illegally running guns to Libya and other hostile governments to America. During those trials, multiple...
Yeah, he should have used that Better Call Saul clip where, fuck, I forgot the Mike, right? That's his name. Suddenly goes to work for certain like shady people in the parking lot. And there's like Trevor from GTA 5 is also there, right? He should have used that because this feels very like that, right? Like shady and yeah.
Key witnesses that were testifying against him mysteriously wound up dead. One guy died in a bar fight. Another guy died in a boating accident when his boat mysteriously exploded. So Billy, not buying that this was all above board, makes some calls to his contacts at the CIA, and the CIA is like, yeah, we don't have any operations going on in Libya right now. What the fuck are you talking about? Then Billy gets a return call from some voice he doesn't recognize, some guy he doesn't know, that asks him to meet up at a restaurant in Arlington, and Billy agrees. He goes there. The guy identifies himself as working for the CIA, shows his badge, shows all his credentials. Billy's satisfied that this guy does in fact work for the CIA. Pat, the CIA guy, then explains the whole situation, that this is not a CIA-funded operation, but the CIA would like Billy to work for them. The CIA is keeping an eye not only on Gaddafi, but on Edwin P. Wilson as well, and they want Billy to go in and be their eyes and ears on the ground. He also gives Billy a camera and tells him to take pictures of any sensitive military equipment that he comes across going to all the bases in Libya.
I said that, right? Like, like, is he doing some kind of like spy level shit, like Cold War spy level shit? And he's doing spy level shit, right? I said in the last part, at the end of the video, like his career is over. That is the only trajectory I can see, either mercenary or some shit like that. Of course, it's spy shit.
Billy then goes and does that for 2 years, constantly reporting back intel and pictures to the CIA, giving them information that would eventually lead up to Edwin P. Wilson getting convicted. The bad news, when your boss gets convicted, you're out of a job, but the good news is Billy is now in good standing as an independent contractor for the CIA. From here, Billy falls off the grid for the next like 10 years doing God knows what for the CIA. It's all redacted.
Oh yeah.
So the next time we know what Billy's actually up to is in 1991, when at the age of 63, he is sent to Khartoum, Sudan, aka K-Town. Now, K-Town in the 1990s is basically Mos Eisley from Star Wars.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Simply put, this is the real-world location where all the Bond villains hang out. And one of the new up-and-comers is a religious fanatic that's forming a new terrorist organization known as Al-Qaeda, and that guy's name is Osama bin Laden. Also worth mentioning, inside the CIA, nobody wants this job working in K-Town because it's in Sudan, it's hot as fuck, it's...
Seriously, man, like in the modern times, like, is there anybody who's like made AK-47 famous like Osama? Because anybody thinks of AK-47, somehow they always think of Osama. Yeah, Osama's been dead for like 15 years now, so I don't know, newer generation might not know. But when I was growing up, that's all people like know, Osama and AK-47 for some reason. Like, that's probably not fair to AK-47, but that's how it was.
super dangerous, and if you're a white guy, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit!
On top of that, because nobody else wants this job, that means Billy's gonna be hard to replace, meaning he basically is gonna be able to do whatever the fuck he wants, how he wants to do it, and nobody's gonna get too mad at him because they don't wanna have to fire and find somebody else to do this job. Which comes into play right away because the CIA wants to know what Billy's plan is, and Billy's just like, what do you mean? I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna keep an eye on the guy. But the CIA is like, but how? How are you gonna keep an eye on the guy? And Billy's like, I'm gonna do all the obvious shit. Whenever he leaves in a car, I'm gonna follow him in my car. I'm gonna take
newspaper, hat, all the usual shit, right? Just eyes out, right? I mean, I know spy shit, come on.
pictures of him all the time. I'll find another building that overlooks his building and keep tabs on him. And then every morning and evening, I'm gonna get in athletic wear and I'm gonna jog around his compound and around the general area so everybody just sees me as that old man that's running for his health. And the office nerds at the CIA are like, yeah, but you're an elderly white man. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. And he goes, yeah, that's kind of the point. That a lot of people in the Sudan see Americans as doing stupid shit. And to them, jogging is stupid shit. Okay, it's Sudan. This is Africa in the 1990s, okay? The notion that Americans eat so much food so often that they then have to go outside and run around for no reason other than to not be fat is so unfathomably dumb to these people. It makes perfect sense and nobody will bat an eye when they see a white elderly man jogging around. But naturally, the office nerds over at the CIA are like, well, we don't really think that's a good idea. I know that you think that based on, I don't know, your previous 40 years of experience of operating, probably been doing it longer than I've been alive, but I don't think that's a good idea. Instead, what you should do is wear a disguise. So the CIA went out and hired a Hollywood prop house to make Billy a rubber disguise. So they give this mask to Billy. This mask
Mission Impossible shit? Come on, man. That no way that would work. Even in the Mission Impossible, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what about the jawlines? What about the bones and shit? Like, that doesn't work. Like, in 1991, like, mask, how would that even work? Anybody gets even remotely closer, like, what the fuck is that? They would immediately notice.
is like from here up so that the neck and face match for skin tone, and he has gloves as well. And since he's in Africa, he is now going to be portraying a black man. And Billy is like, blackface. You want me to do blackface while I spy on a terrorist?
I don't believe you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
And Billy doesn't really care about
God, what a great movie, man. When it came out, I was a kid. I'm like, what the? I watched it so many times. I didn't even realize that the big producer guy was Tom Cruise for some reason until very later. I'm like, what the fuck? That is Tom Cruise. And now when I see it, like, yeah, it makes sense. It's Tom Cruise. I can see it. But somehow when I saw it, I didn't realize it's Tom Cruise. Tropic Thunder is one of the best movies. And the fucked up thing is that movie would never be released. I don't know. Did streaming services ban that movie or something? I don't even know that. That's the fucked up time we live in. That's such a good movie, but there will be never something like that again.
that. Like, it's a military operation. We all know the rules. It's not actually blackface if you're working for the U.S. government.
Blackface is wrong. It's racist. You cannot do it, okay? Then you see them Navy SEALs commercials. You're like, all right, well, kind of sometimes you could do it.
It's a camel.
Right? The whole Navy SEALs commercial is like, look how cool blackface is on a helicopter.
The real problem is the mask is absolutely ridiculous. When you put a mask over your head, obviously your head is now disproportionately large. The lips don't actually move. And Billy said a combination between the mask just being disproportionately large for his head and the over-exaggerated features of the mask, the lips of the mask were so large that when he drove his car, he had to turn his head down so that he could actually see where the fuck he was going. So he's driving around town like this all day. And the worst part, it's Sudan.
Really?
It's 120 degrees there and nobody has air conditioning and he's wearing a rubber helmet and rubber gloves 24/7. It fucking sucks. He's sweating his ass off the entire time and he's a 63-year-old man. But you know what? Fuck it. If that's what the CIA wants, that's what the CIA is gonna get. Billy does just that.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
So this goes on for a little while and then one of the CIA office nerds comes out to check on Billy and Billy is like, haha, time to put your mask on, homie. And we've all had this moment, you know, where the boss comes down from his office at work and he's been making everybody do stupid shit and it's finally his turn to experience how dumb what they're making you do actually is. So the CIA office guy gets his rubber mask and his rubber gloves, puts it on and hops in the car with Billy. And this is Africa. There's no traffic laws. Billy's weaving in and out of traffic, driving like a bat out of hell. The CIA guy's already getting nervous just from how he's driving. The CIA guy looks down. There's a big ass hole in the floor of the car because Billy's driving some 15-year-old beat up Toyota. They roll up on a military checkpoint that they obviously have to stop at to not get shot. Billy stops the car. Dude walks right up, shoves his AK right into Billy's window. Billy's completely chill. This is just day-to-day shit for him. CIA office guy shitting his pants. And when you get within like, I don't know, 6 feet of somebody wearing one of these masks,
I mean, if you've been shot through your head with a ricocheted bullet, your skull is hanging out, you're not going to be afraid of anything at that point, right? Like, okay, what you want? Oh, okay, I've seen AK-47. Yours need repair. Yours need maintenance. Get the fuck out of here. That's what his thought is at that time.
it's very obvious to everybody that you are in fact wearing a mask, so they're about to get caught. But Billy just like bribes the guy with money and cigarettes, per usual, daily thing for him. They let him pass right through. But the CIA guy is like having a panic attack while he's inside of this rubber mask in 120-degree weather, thinking he's gonna get killed in Sudan.
Mr. Ford, you all right?
I had no idea.
All that combined with Billy
that a
continuing
good movie,
to drive
Ford v
like a bat
Ferrari?
out of hell,
I don't
he
know.
ends up getting his CIA handler to puke inside of this rubber mask and is just like, can't take it off, man. We don't want to blow our cover, right? So he just lets this dude bake inside this rubber mask with his own vomit in 120-degree desert heat. So Billy continues, shows him everything he needs to see. This dude's just having the worst time of his life, takes him back, drops him off. And yeah, Billy didn't have to wear the mask after that anymore. So now Billy gets to do this job the way he actually wants to do it. And he proceeds to just be a stone cold gangster about it the entire time, right? He's a 63-year-old man that's been operating for 40 years. He doesn't give a fuck about anything. He's jogging around Bin Laden's compound every single morning. He says he gets within like 10 feet of him on multiple occasions, almost weekly at this point. He's tailing their cars wherever they go. Bin Laden's got like 10 bodyguards with him at all times. At one point, Billy's tailing Bin Laden's Mercedes in his car, and as he's following, one of the guards in the back seat turns around and notices Billy is right behind him and lifts up his AK and points it at him. Billy doesn't even flinch, is just sitting there at this stoplight or stop sign, grabs a fake air grenade and just motions, pulling the pin with his teeth and throwing it at him, like literally just telling the dude, go ahead, shoot me, fucking see what happens.
Anything happens to us, your home, your family, gone.
And guess what Osama bin Laden's bodyguard does?
Not a damn thing!
Reflecting on this exact moment later in life, Billy said, and I quote, "My attitude with these guys was always very simple. Fuck them. My guns are just as good as theirs." This might be the most badass old man to exist ever. So Billy continues to basically overtly spy on these guys.
Look, man, I think at this point he didn't give a shit. Because if you're gonna do like grenade shit, he could literally shoot you. Like, you can't, like, you're not gonna do Matrix shit and like dodge bullets. He would be shot at that point. But he was old and he'd been through a lot of shit. He didn't care at that point. Like, okay, shoot me, I don't give a fuck type of way. And that's the psychology. That guy realized, like, I'm pointing an AK-47 at this guy and he's still doing this, which means let's not fuck with him. Even if I shoot him, that might cause trouble type of way.
He ends up getting an apartment building that overlooks Osama bin Laden's compound. And then he just spends a ton of time hanging out on the roof, overlooking, taking pictures, looking at him with binoculars and all kinds of shit. And again, it doesn't seem that irregular because everybody in Sudan just kind of hangs out on their roof because there's no air conditioning and it's cool up there with the wind. So he's just sitting up on top of the roof in the middle of the desert under some shade, spying on Osama bin Laden. And over time, he starts to realize just how insanely devoted all of these guys' followers are. This guy's not just a leader, he is a spiritual leader. These people believe that if they do what he's saying, they're going to get to go to heaven, and he recognizes that that is extremely dangerous. Now remember, this is 1991, and at this point, Osama bin Laden is not what he eventually turns into yet, but Billy sees all the potential and, more importantly, all the intent there, so he comes to the conclusion, we should just kill this guy and be done with it. So Billy ends up writing a mission proposal. He knows absolutely everything about Osama bin Laden at this point. He knows when he wakes up, he knows when he goes to bed, he knows when he eats breakfast, he knows when he prays, he knows when he's getting into his car, and he knows where he's running his errands inside of that car. He knows absolutely everything about this guy's daily routine. So Billy wants to get one more CIA guy and one more car. So it's going to be Billy, his car, a CIA guy, and another car. And what's going to happen is the CIA guy is going to get in a head-on collision with Osama bin Laden's car, and then Billy's going to pull up right behind him. And then when Osama bin Laden and all his bodyguards get out to start yelling because he caused a car wreck, Billy's going to come up behind him and just shoot everybody in the head. Okay, it's a good plan. 2 guys, 2 cars, 1 suppressed MP5, grab Osama bin Laden's dead corpse, throw it in the trunk, drive to the Iranian embassy, throw it over the wall with a couple of flashbang grenades to get everybody's attention, get a ton of news coverage all over it, and then walk away. This proposal makes it all the way to the desk of President Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton sends a response back to the CIA. I'm paraphrasing, but it basically said, "We're not doing this. Please don't recommend anything like this ever again." At that point, it becomes clear that the CIA is not actually going to be allowed to do anything about this guy, so Billy's pulled off the mission, and Osama bin Laden is just kind of left alone.
Oh, so Clinton fucked up. Is that... I mean, I guess he was like worried about political shit. I don't know what that was. I guess he just realized that, okay, these people might fuck up and we will intensify things. He might become martyr or whatever, but doesn't matter what it is. Power of hindsight. If they actually did kill Osama back then, maybe 9/11 wouldn't have happened. Maybe they would have tried, but wouldn't have been successful without Osama. I don't know. The power of hindsight is just fucked up.
Alone to do whatever he's gonna do. Later in life, Billy reflected on this, and with hindsight being 2020, he said that if he would have known that bin Laden was gonna go on to launch terror attacks at multiple US embassies, the USS Cole, and the World Trade Center, he absolutely would have went rogue and taken him out himself. Yeah. He had every opportunity in the world at the time.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people who was closer to Osama, whoever, like even the army post with Navy SEALs or whatever, would have had the same thought. Like, I don't give a fuck. If I knew this, I would just go there and shoot him.
All right, 1993, Billy gets called in for a top secret gamma level mission. I didn't know what gamma level mission meant. Apparently, it just means like super duper top secret. International intelligence organizations have picked up a phone call that Carlos the Jackal wants a new bodyguard and is being sent one. Now, if you don't know, in 1993, Carlos the Jackal is the most notorious terrorist of all time. He's conducted pretty much every flavor of terrorism that there is, from bombings to shootings, assassinations, hostage situations, all of them, and he's done it all over the world. So pretty much every first world country wants to get a hold of this guy. The problem is that he's been off the grid for like a decade, and a lot of people actually believe that he's dead. So in order to take down Carlos the Jackal, they're going to have to go in and prove that he's actually even alive. And in order to do that, they're going to have to get up close and personal.
I'm guessing this is the guy who's the reason behind a lot of antagonists in games and things. I'm pretty sure they are even called Jackal. So they might literally be using him as an antagonist. Like, I'm pretty sure like Far Cry 2 has antagonists like that. Was he named Jackal? I don't know. I think it was, right? A lot of things has the Jackal name behind it. So I guess they are all antagonists because of this guy.
with a camera to get a clear picture. So in order to do that, they call up the best of the best, 65-year-old Billy Waugh. So they bring Billy in, they brief him, they tell him when and where the security guard is supposed to show up, and surprise, surprise, it's Billy's favorite place, Khartoum, Sudan. So Billy gets into Khartoum, Sudan. He's leading a 4-man surveillance team, and they are tasked with hunting down Carlos the Jackal. They show up at the airport that the bodyguard is flying into, pretending to be businessmen having lunch, and then as they identify the bodyguard, they start following him. He goes out into the parking lot, gets in a white Toyota, they're tailing the guy, they tail him for like 45 minutes, and then suddenly he just does a U-turn. So they do a U-turn and they follow him, and then he goes for a little bit longer, does another U-turn, at which point they know that he knows that they're following him, and they can't keep following him because this guy's just going to do U-turns all day long. So they break contact and go back to the US Embassy. So now the only lead that they have is that they're looking for this white Toyota. So they're constantly all just driving around the city for weeks trying to find this white Toyota again. And then one day they find the car right outside this clinic. They presume because Carlos the Jackal is getting up there in age and he has a lot of health issues that he's inside the clinic getting treatment for something. Now the problem is right outside this clinic is this open air market where people are just selling shit, food, vegetables, whatever. So there's a bunch of people walking by all over the place. And you have to remember, this is 1993. They don't have
I'm gonna guess open air market isn't a thing in America because it's still a thing here in India, even to this day. I'm pretty sure it's a thing in a lot of places. I don't know.
The super nice cameras that we had today. They don't have little tiny cameras with all this awesome auto focusing that's going to be able to get a clear picture. It's going to take a skilled photographer, which Billy is, to be able to get this picture, but they're going to have to get Carlos the Jackal to stand still in this marketplace without people in the way. Now Billy sees the Jackal and his bodyguards starting to walk out of this clinic, and if he can't get them to stop and stand still for a minute with a clear shot with his camera, he's not going to be able to get a picture to prove the guy's alive to get the green light to capture him. So he needs to figure out how to get Carlos the Jackal to stand still for a minute without drawing any attention to himself so that he doesn't realize that he's being hunted and
Draw an X on the ground. I know it's stupid, but somebody would stop that and say, what the fuck is that? I would look at that. It might give you a few seconds. I don't know.
run off. So Billy's thinking fast. Okay, got to get Carlos the Jackal to stand still. How do I get somebody to stand still? I get him to look at something. Okay, middle-aged guy, alcohol, womanizer. What's he want to look at? Tits. Don't have any tits. Okay, next best idea. A fight. I got to start a fight. He looks over to his partner, Greg. Instigate a fight right
Linear.
now.
Yo, hit that director in the face. Really hard.
Sorry, man.
So Greg, the CIA guy, immediately goes up to one of the vendors, starts screaming, "You cheated me, you cheated me," instigates this fight. Obviously, everybody in the surrounding area starts looking because that's just what you do when a fight breaks out, including Carlos the Jackal, and this gets him to stand still long enough for Billy to get a ton of up-close, personal, clear pictures of Carlos the Jackal. After Billy gives Greg the signal that he has the pictures that he needs, Greg apologizes, pulls out money, hands it to the vendor. No big deal, everything's fine. They then tail Carlos the Jackal all the way back to this shitty apartment building that he's held up in. But they can't do anything yet. They have to verify that it's him, but at least now they know where he's at. So they go back to the embassy. Billy develops the pictures, has them sent over to CIA headquarters. CIA says, yeah, that's absolutely him, gives Billy the green light to go get him. So Billy goes to the apartment complex, finds a manager, comes up with some bullshit story that he's working for the US government as like a surveyor for urban development, blah, 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 whatever. The manager immediately knows he's full of shit and basically, cut to the chase. How much money are you gonna bribe me? I want like $700 a month US is what he says, which doesn't seem like a lot of money to us for what we're asking. However, in Sudan, the annual income is about $300 a year. So to him, this is a shit ton of money.
$1 million.
Billy's over here with US military DOD fuck you money budget, immediately gives the guy $700. The guy hooks him up with an apartment right above Carlos the Jackal, and Billy gets in there with a bunch of surveillance equipment and starts spying on him. All the intel that Billy finds, Billy kicks back to his bosses at the CIA, and then they share it with all the other international intelligence community. And what ends up happening, allegedly, as far as the story goes, is that the French government really, really wanted to be the ones to capture the Jackal. So from this point, allegedly, a French team comes in and takes over using all of Billy's intel, but how much the CIA was actually involved is still classified, so who actually knows? So while we don't know who actually caught him, we do know how he was caught. And what Billy found out while he was surveilling the guy was that he had a toothache. So what they did is they found a dentist nearby, paid him off to actually call Carlos the Jackal.
Oh, there's some intense shit. So this is where all the movie inspiration come from, like all this creative shit people come with. Oh, I guess you're gonna dress up as dentist. Obviously, there's real world roots behind this. So CIA does do crazy shit like that, and people like Billy Waugh, obviously working for CIA like that, covert, right? If you get caught, like we don't know you type of shit, there must be something like that, right? So all this covert shit, like they do all this type of operation.
saying they were opening up a new dental clinic and that they were looking for new customers and they were offering free checkups and repairs. Carlos the Jackal, the guy with the toothache, is like, dope, I'm gonna go get this fixed.
Made out of
Carlos the Jackal,
cardboard.
at this point in time, the most notorious terrorist ever that's been on the run for over a decade, considered by many to be absolutely dead. Billy Waugh goes in and captures his ass in a matter of weeks in what is probably the cleanest operation ever. After capturing Carlos the Jackal, Billy continues to work for the CIA well into his old age, doing God knows what. We don't really know because it's still classified. The next time Billy pops up is in 2001 when he is 71 years old, right after the attack on the World Trade Center. Billy said, and I quote, "On the morning of September 11, I was stunned and angry and determined to place myself in a position to do something about it. I was 71 years old when those towers fell, but I didn't give a good goddamn how old I was. My country was going to war, and for nearly 50 years, that meant only one thing: I needed to get myself involved in this war also." Most people at 71 years old want to avoid staircases, and Billy Waugh at 71 wants to go to war like a complete fucking gangster. So Billy shows up to CIA headquarters ready to go to work, and they're assembling teams to ship out to the Middle East, and Billy is not getting selected. He's told that he's not going to be going, most likely because he's 71 years old. So in an act of protest, he goes out to his car, opens up his trunk, and grabs out this shitty folding beach chair and walks right back into CIA headquarters. This whole place is buzzing. It's right after 9/11. Everybody's running around, sharing information, and here's Billy, a 71-year-old man, in a beach chair, sitting in the middle of the office like this. Eventually, Billy's boss comes up to him like, what is this? What are you doing? And Billy's like, are you going to put me in or not? And the boss like, fine, you know what, fine, just go to Kabul, get to work. So Billy goes, recruits a team of guys just like him, and shortly after that, he is on a plane on his way to Afghanistan to hunt down...
Yeah, I'm picturing him sitting in that chair, opening beer bottle and just drinking and just looking at people like that. All right, you made your point.
Osama bin Laden with an AK-47, an MP5, a 40mm grenade launcher, and a radio. Billy hits the ground running, pretty much immediately establishes his own militia of a couple hundred guys that he's all paying to fight for him, and uses this force to go around finding everybody and anybody related to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda that he can find. While he's in theater, he participates in the Battle of Tora Bora, again at the age of 71 years old, and after a couple of months, he comes to the conclusion they are not going to have the quick, violent capture of Osama bin Laden that he was hoping for, and that he decides that he is too old for this shit and heads back home. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is still not the end of the story.
What?
July 2004, Billy is 74 years old when he gets approached by the CIA and offered to go on an extremely dangerous mission where if he is captured, he will more than likely be tortured and then killed, and it is a solo mission that he will have to complete by himself.
That's
Billy immediately
74?
agrees without knowing what it even is. After accepting the mission, he finds out that he will be flown into Saudi Arabia, a country that he has never been to before, where he is going to be tasked with getting picture evidence that there is a high-level terrorist there that they believe to be there. And that terrorist is Imad Mugdia, an Islamic jihadist that has conducted terror operations all over the world. Between Billy Waugh capturing Carlos the Jackal and the 9/11 attacks, he was the most wanted terrorist on the planet. So Billy goes into Saudi Arabia with nothing more than a camera. Straight from the airport, he goes and finds somebody that's willing to give him driving lessons because he doesn't really know how to drive on the streets in Saudi Arabia. After Billy's confident that he can drive on his own, he then tells the driving instructor like, hey, I think I'm good right now. Just let me drive the car around for the rest of the day. You can fuck off. From there, Billy drives to the place that Mugdia is supposed to be, and right across the street, there's this restaurant. So Billy goes, he's drinking coffee, he's hanging out, and then he notices that there is a dumpster, and that dumpster has a pretty good shot right at the front door that he believes Imad Mugdia is at. So Billy finishes up his lunch, closes out his tab, and then heads over to that dumpster. When nobody's looking, he hops inside the dumpster, whips out his camera, and is just sitting there at the door waiting. After a while, sure enough, a dry cleaner shows up, delivering the dry cleaning.
Imagine somebody just opening the restaurant to throw something inside and just sees 74-year-old man just with a camera. The fuck you doing? Nothing, just taking bird shots. Yeah, seems about right, and just walks away.
And guess who answers the door? Imad Mugdia. Billy snaps a bunch of pictures, waits inside the dumpster. Dry cleaner drives off. Imad shuts the door. Billy waits till nobody's around, hops out of the dumpster, gets in his training car, drives back to the airport, and heads back to America. The pictures then get verified it was in fact Mugdia, and that mission gets handed off to the special forces. Billy did his part.
Okay.
Billy continues.
What was it? Snatch? I think that's the movie, right? Brad Pitt and Jason Statham. I think Jason Statham was inside. I don't know. But the British movie, right? Snatch was the name. So there is like this thing, right? Like somebody just like drinks an alcohol, suddenly shows the like plane taking off, then like dropping somewhere else and doing shit, and there's like scenarios like that. I'm imagining that happening here. Billy Waugh just like went there, did some driving, get inside the dumpster, take a photo, go back. There you go, mission done.
Working for the CIA. Again, we don't know what all he does, but in 2017, we do know that he went to Hanoi, Vietnam. And the purpose of that trip was to be a dinner guest for General
How old
Giap,
is he
the
here?
same general that he had attempted to kill all those years ago during the Vietnam War at Oscar 8. The entire interaction takes place through a translator, but the whole thing has this aura of like the two old warriors that made it to the end of the road that fought on opposite sides, and now they're just kind of reminiscing about it together. They have a long conversation over the course of hours talking about their perspectives of the war, their tactics, everything that went down, and towards the end of it, Billy informs him that he was on a green light team. He then goes on to explain what that was. He was one of the few people that was qualified to jump in behind enemy lines with a nuclear warhead and detonate it. He then informs them that early on in the war, there was a serious conversation that they were going to have him jump behind enemy lines with that nuclear warhead and blow up a pass in the Ho Chi Minh Trail with a ground detonation that would not only blow up the trail itself, collapsing it in, but it would also irradiate the earth, making it not passable for thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years. Shutting down the Ho Chi Minh Trail would have drastically changed the entire war if it even happened after that. The translator, General Giap's son, said surely there was no way America was seriously considering using nuclear weapons on Vietnam, to which Billy replied, "Yeah, we were. I was on the team." The only reason America didn't go through with it is because it's basically opening Pandora's box. There's been that line in the sand of nobody uses nuclear
Yeah, I mean, it's Cold War time. You don't want Soviet Union to find that as an excuse.
weapons ever since they were first used in Japan, and America was worried of who would use nuclear weapons next and why they would be using them. Billy then informs General Giap's son that he actually wishes that America would have went through with it, and General Giap's son is obviously deeply offended, saying, "This is my homeland." I'm paraphrasing here, but Billy rebuttals, "Yeah, it is, but if I could have stopped this war before it started, we could have saved 58,000 of my people and 500,000 of yours." At which point General Giap himself chimes in and says, "Yeah, but then we may not have won the war." Clearly implying that losing 500,000 men was well worth it if it meant winning in the end. I've thought about this interaction a lot, and there's a lot of different things that you can draw from this very short interaction, but I think the moral of the story here is war is awful, and whoever's willing to do whatever it takes is probably going to be the victor. This is not verifiable, but allegedly Billy Waugh's last mission was in 2011 at the age of 82 years old, where he went into Libya to assist with the overthrowing of Gaddafi. Billy would then allegedly enjoy about a decade of retirement before passing away on April 4th, 2023 at the age of 93 years old.
Whoa.
His cremated remains were then spread during a halo jump over North Carolina. Billy's longtime boss at the CIA said, and I quote, "You'll never know 1/100th of the things Billy accomplished for us. Most of what Billy Waugh did was never written down. Almost everything was on verbal orders from someone like me to someone like him." And that is 1/100th of the story of Billy Waugh, the Godfather of the Green Berets. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over
That
at
is intense.
FatElectrician.com. Quack bang out.
So I heard a story that you got close enough to bin Laden to kill him with a pencil.
I could have killed him with a pencil easily, but pencil's not going to do the fucking job. Because if I went for his heart, I might miss that son of a bitch for 4 inches and just piss him off.
Yeah.
He took it seriously. Yeah, obviously that's like John Wick type of shit, right? But he gave a proper technical answer. Like, yeah, I was close to a pencil, not gonna like, I don't know, probably some kind of like a glass or something. Yeah, I would have cut his throat with a glass. Why not? Yeah, that's some badass shit. Only 1/100th of the story. It took an hour-long video. Like, that's some insane shit. People like this really like, like interest me. Like how many shit they've done. Like nobody will ever know about it. Maybe one day it's like archaeological level shit. Like somebody will discover all the things they've done. With the AI power, who the fuck knows, like the level of like putting togetherness we can have in the future. But yeah, or some declassified things. Right, well, that was Godfather of the Green Berets, Billy Waugh. It's, the title's like Godfather of the Green Beret, but that's like one drop in the bucket, right? Green Beret, like he did a lot of shit after that with CIA, all the terrorism, like that. Damn, that's some intense shit. The Jackal, right? Bin Laden. All right, well, if you like my next video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.